LT.
Strizap.
Just like that, we back again.
Hey, just like that, we bizak.
See, our audience don't even know what we're going through. We just lost the whole episode that we just recorded.
Hey, it's all good, man. Sure.
Hey, we can do that again. But besides that, my brother, I wanted to do something a little bit new this episode.
Okay.
I put on my timer right here so we could know what time to keep everything on production. We still don't have our production person. She's being lazy, but shout out to her. All right, LT.
Strap.
Usually we start our episodes just shooting from the hip, but we never tell people who we are, what our socials are, or just promote ourselves. I know we do it with the visual that pops up here on the side, like right now. Yeah. But most times, if we have, or not most times, but if there was an incident where we had a fan that had, let's say, visual impairment, and they only listen to the podcast. Okay. We need to let them know what our socials are. I'll let you go first.
I feel it. I can dig it. Yo, it's your man LT. You can find me at official China Kid, official.ChinaKid on IG. Follow your boy, like some pictures.
All right. My name is Listen number 2, like 2. Strap, and you can find me with that handle on every platform. And I mean, like LT said, follow, comment. I like comment. I like engagement. So that'll make me feel good. So
where can they find the show?
Where can they find the show? You can find the show, first of all, Who's Fighting on Instagram, like Who's Fighting, 2 question marks on Instagram. And you could also find that Who's Fighting show on YouTube. We also have a Facebook to mention about a few, but if you're listening to this, you probably already found us.
Yay.
Well, let's get into it, man. Let's get into it.
Hey, over the weekend, we had a major one. Not what everybody was expecting, but on a last minute replacement, we had Manny Pacquiao.
We did a special about this one.
Yeah, that it wasn't our intention going into it, but Manny Pacquiao versus Yordenis Ugas.
Yeah, man. Honestly, I was engaged already in a family event and I missed this, but I did watch the rematch, and I feel LT has more of a take on this than me, but what I took away from this was father or mother time is undefeated, but take it on, LT.
Man, so I'll start by saying that what we saw is exactly what I expected. Okay, Manny Pacquiao traditionally has a very high output, right? High volume, busy fighter. Yordenis Ugas more calculated, a lot of body shots, and that's what we got. And in terms of decision, that was a shocker to me. Because
you didn't like the unanimous decision?
I'm not gonna say I don't like it.
I mean, it was not what you saw. It was not in your cards.
No, what I'm saying is that a lot of times judges value quantity over quality. A lot of times they see the busier fighter. Yeah. They see, okay.
Which doesn't work well for Pacquiao because he's always been the busier fighter, but he's always sometimes, I said sometimes, had the short end of the stick. Like we talk about his fight with Tim Bradley.
Right.
Or that dude from Australia.
Jeff Horn. And he's the only great that loses these fights by decision. I mean, I don't know. I can't think of anybody else that loses those type of fights by decision. And going into it, I'm like, okay, Manny Pacquiao's the clear A side, especially for the casuals. As long as he survives, he will come out victorious. And I didn't remember Timothy Bradley, in that coming to that conclusion. I didn't remember Tim Horn in coming to that Jeff Horn in coming to that conclusion, and I very well should have, because once again, I believe Pacquiao won those other 2 fights. This one, I think he lost, and
So, like, naturally, we could ask, what's next for Manny Pacquiao?
So, what I have to say is this. Watching it live, he came out very high output, came out aggressive, just like I expected. Until there was a point in the fourth round where I see him in the corner after the bell rings. And it's like a little bit of a deep breath, like, woo. I'm not used to being this tired this early, right? And I want to say he's not sitting on the stool. He's just kind of up, like, you know how when your foot fall asleep or something, you just trying to stay up and trying to get it to stop tingling. I think that in that moment, lactic acid was setting in very faster than he's used to. And let's take into consideration that is what happens with old age.
Right.
But the last time we saw him was against Keith Thurman.
Killer.
Right? I mean, Keith Thurman earned that money fight against Manny Pacquiao, the big name in the division. And he put Keith Thurman down. But that was 2 years ago. Uh-huh. And there's been a 2-year layoff since then. And I want to say that
the inactivity,
that 2-year layoff probably played more of a part in his dead-leggedness than Father Time. But it definitely was accumulation of both.
So in your mind, when you watched it, you adjusted the factor that that horse still has a little bit more output. Yeah. You feel like he still has high level, not exhibition, not right. Roy Jones versus Tyson. I'm saying like real, because if he's still considered as a fighter right now in this day and age, he's still ranked top 6.
Absolutely. And then, Freddie Roach has played with the idea. He mentioned that he would love to see Manny Pacquiao become president of the Philippines and then have a professional fight at the same time,
But people, that's beautiful. It's very fantasy based, but it's the fight business. Have you seen your president? What sign does it show when your president gets laid on the floor? Out, and they had to bring like paramedics to pull his mouth guard out before he swallows that thing.
It would have to be a very strategic fight. Selection of an opponent.
You're not fighting Earl Spence after I've seen that.
No. No, of course. The natural order would be probably your Dennis versus Earl Spence, kind of a unification side. But for Pacquiao, I do want to see him fight one more and go out with a victory. I kind of consider your Dennis as like the number 6 in that division. He probably elevated himself to number 5 after beating Pacquiao. And I would say Pacquiao should probably fight whoever may be a number 7 currently. And
where would you rank Sean Porter in that division?
Man, there's 4 belts, 4 major belts, and a lot of times,
I mean, the belts have different rankings too.
Yes, and Thurman holds, not Thurman, but Spence holds 2 of them. So a lot of times I consider Porter as like the number 5 in that division, but I don't want to get too far into that. What I see next for Pacquiao, what I would like to see, the idea's been floated around. Maybe Mikey Williams kind of send-off fight.
Mikey Williams.
One of the themes for this weekend was the Mexican versus the Filipino fighter. We did see 2 Mexicans go at it. It was very nostalgic between Vicious Victor Ortiz and Robert.
You said Mikey Garcia.
Right. No.
Mikey Williams?
Who am I thinking? Mikey Garcia.
Why do I always say that?
Mikey Garcia.
Because, like with Mikey Garcia, that's a great fight for him because size-wise, they're about the same height. Because Mikey was overcompensating with Spence. Because Spence, some of these people don't know Spence is a big dude.
Yeah.
I mean, for that division, he's a bigger guy. In my perfect world, I don't want to say this bad, but to put the horse to sleep, he needs to fight Bud Crawford. He needs to fight Bud Crawford for the empty, because you know what? Pacquiao is gusto. He's stepping on the gas. He's going to try to knock you out in the first 2-3 rounds. And you know what? If he catches, we've never seen anybody really catch Bud Crawford like that. So if he's really about it and he wants to touch a live wire, I mean, the thing is, I think it would be healthier for him to fight Bud Crawford than Spence, who's a technician at destroying a body part. He's just gonna hit you in the same little spot, probably not knock you out, but probably give you the worst complications, probably break your eye socket, just do stuff that he did to like Kell Brooks. You know what I mean. I'm not trying to. It's a violent sport. It's a violent sport, but like
to write the romantic ending, go fight Mikey Garcia or even Ryan Garcia. Get the money and get the bread and leave.
Ryan Garcia, according to the YouTube world, he's a killer too. Like his knockout rate is almost 100%.
Okay.
Pacquiao one time had 100% too. But anyways, okay, moving on from that, we talked about the prospect, Virgil Ortiz Jr. and his rise to fame. We call him the prospect because we both agreed he may be not on a contender level, but he did win his last fight a week or two ago. And we had this conversation. What's next for him?
Right.
And we talked about him being in the light welterweight division that is stacked.
And so for us, we're kind of purists. The person he just beat, that's a name on the resume, right?
Okay.
But for the casual, that's not a name for the casual. And so he's not ready per se for a Gervonta to make a pay-per-view fight. Like that fight's not ready to happen yet for business reasons. And you just kind of you got to add another step to the resume. He's not ready for a Josh Taylor for the same reasons, which, kind of 140 is kind of weird. Like it's
Triple G. Because Triple G could bounce from those two-weight categories.
Triple G is an even bigger name than the two that I just said.
That's true.
But I could see a Gamboa. He's kind of becoming a gatekeeper.
A ladder.
He's kind of becoming a gatekeeper, and so that's another one that you could put on your resume.
Great champion, respect to Gamboa too.
That's probably a realistic one.
Yeah. Respect to that. Respect to Virgil Ortiz. Salute to you, and we wish you great ascendancy because we know you're going to be a champion one day. Moving on to the UFC, Jared Cormier versus Kevin Gastelum. Of course, that was a fight night type of fight. It was not UFC 256, 267 or whatever. But Jared won by unanimous decision, 5-rounder. His resume is amazing. He's fought the Jan Blachowicz of the world. He's fought who else has he fought? He's fought Dominic Reyes. He has a pretty impressive resume.
Glover Teixeira, Anderson Silva. I know you.
And I think he's been yo-yoing with his weight category because these are different weight categories he's fighting. Because Dominic Reyes is a light heavyweight, but Gastelum is a middleweight fighter. That's where the Adesanyas are. So I think he got little. He lost a little bit of weight to fight in that category. But anyways, Jared, we're watching you.
And shout out, two battle-tested fighters. Shout out to, even
Gastelum is a beast, man.
Even he went through the fire. He's got a
Stylebender.
Till. He's got a Israel.
Till, yeah.
He's got a Chris Weidman on there. Victor Belfort. So there's names on both sides of these, and they're both very battle tested.
Shout out to Gastelum. All right, LT. We going to the part that we like to talk about, the future.
Hey,
LT.
Strap.
Who's about to fight?
Who's fighting? We're looking at August 28th. In the UFC, Barboza versus
Chikeze. So with this part of the episode, it's a lot faster. We just guess what's going to happen. Unless you have reason to your rhyme, you could add to that. But for right now, I'm going with Barboza. And my decision would be, I'll go with a full 5. If it's a 5-rounder, they'll go 5. If it's a 3-rounder, they'll go 3. It's going to be a decision.
So usually it's like the championship bouts are the ones that go 5, right? I'm not familiar with these two fighters. Obviously, Barboza is the more experienced fighter. He's got about 31 under his belt versus Chikaza's 15. And if I had to glance at it, man, but those are kind of setups. Like,
yeah.
Those are kind of setups.
Aging fighter versus a new hungry lion.
You're right. I'm gonna take the young lion on this one, the young bull.
Okay,
that goes against.
You going for a decision or are you going for a finish?
Finish.
So
32
and a finish
35.
could also be a submission, and because UFC we have to put that it's so many layers about decisions in UFC rather than boxing where a finish is knockout, TKO. Here it could be a submission, it could be choking somebody.
He's from Georgia, so that tells you automatically his ground game should be on point.
Okay, so you're going for Chikadze, okay?
Yeah.
The next fight that is about to happen September 4th, we're going for Derek Branson versus Till. I like Till a lot because that boy funny. He's hilarious. He's a good promoter. But Branson, man, legend. Would you call him a legend? He's been around. He's a fixture.
He's got to be a legend. At this
he's
point,
lost a couple of fights, but he's been around.
He's got to be a legend.
He's still in the mix.
Got to be a legend.
But Darren Till is a funny dude. And he's a great stand-up fighter too. Amazing boxing skills.
Wow, this one's actually harder than when I first glanced at it.
I'll go for Till just because it's just the new kid on the block. Not the new kid, he's not new, but he's a problem.
Very much so.
But Bronson is a legend. Derek Bronson, respect to you. And he's an old dude that knows how to do what he has to do to stay relevant in the ring.
37-year-old versus 28-year-old. Yeah, and so when we pick these fights, I tend to go with my nostalgia and my bias.
So you go with Derek.
Once again, I'm going with Brunson. Yeah,
okay, you going with Derek.
I think he may have a little more ring savvy.
That's why I'm thinking. Yeah, he's been doing it for a long time, and I don't think he has taken too much damage. Yes, he's been knocked out a few here and there, but okay, let's go into LT's favorite sport when it comes to combat sports, boxing. Whoa. This weekend, your guy, David, is fighting.
Yes. So, yeah, let's get into it. August 28th, Jose Uzcategui versus David Benavidez. Now, both of these fighters, electric fighters. I mean, power. Both of them are powerful. Unfortunately, both of them have handed L's to my flank guys, the Durrell brothers. I want to say they handed L's to different Durrell brothers. I want to say Jose beat Andre and David beat Anthony. I could be wrong, but Uzcategui versus he is. So the difference between styles is Uzcategui's gonna stalk you in a tactical way,
kind of like cut the ring.
He's gonna cut the ring off, and he's gonna shoot, and he's looking for gaps. Right? He's punching efficiently.
Right.
Benavidez,
too big, too strong.
I call him,
he's too big. He's just too big.
He's like an excavator. He's just coming forward and he's gonna punch through you, right? That's the difference. They're both big punchers. Both of them are big punchers, huge punchers. Benavidez is gonna punch through you. Uzcategui's gonna look for the opening. And
so there's a stalker and there's a bully.
This right here.
It's going to be a good fight. Good matchup.
How does it go past 5?
You sold that fight to me.
How does this go past 5?
You sold that fight to me.
Oh, man.
I can't wait to watch it.
All right. We also have Jake Paul versus...
Who are you going for before you go there?
You're going to make me pick... So they both fight at 168. I've always openly said that I want to see Benavidez take on a Canelo. But Uzcategui is, we say it that way. I'm probably saying it wrong, but the masses say it like that. he's probably just as worthy, just as formidable as a foe. And I will tell you this, Jose is probably a better dance partner
than Canelo.
Than Benavidez.
Oh.
Because David Benavidez is just going to come forward. And he's not going to get off that line. And if Canelo can move laterally, he can score. And as long as he just makes sure that he stays out of the way.
Yeah.
But Uzcategui is a little more crafty. And so
you going with, who you going with?
I'm a Benavidez fan.
Okay, Benavidez. I'm going with Benavidez too. The next fight that is happening the next day, the next day is, and we will run through these ones really, really quick because a lot of them you already heard them and we already talked about them. The mighty Jake Paul will fight. Oh, the problem child Jake Paul will fight Tyron Woodley on Sunday. I'm just gonna give a result on this. I don't want to even talk about the profiles of these fighters, but man, it's so hard not to bet on Jake Paul now after you convinced me. But I'll go with Tyron Woodley, but it's so hard not to say Jake Paul could pull this off.
Yeah, and I also Jake Paul can pull it off because it's not Tyron Woodley's expertise,
and he's smaller than Jake too.
But I do believe in Woodley's power. I do believe in his power and his striking and his timing. So I think he'll have a little bit more gas tank than some of these people that he's fought previously. So
okay, Woodley. Now we're going to a vintage one here. We're going to talk about the return to the ring of the golden boy. None but the less or none but the only. Oscar De La Hoya will be fighting UFC legend Victor Belfort on September 11th. This hit me from nowhere, bro. Yeah, I saw him on Instagram practicing and I was like, I have to add this on the show.
Man.
Are you excited about this?
I'm a little worried for De La Hoya's well-being. If we go by resume, then obviously it's a boxing match.
It's not UFC.
But I don't know
how in shape.
First of all, De La Hoya's behavior has me concerned about it a little bit. Okay.
He's a wild boy.
But hey, it makes me question some things. But getting into the ring,
it could have stipulations like the Mike Tyson, Roy Jones, where you don't have to hit each side in the face and stuff like that. So maybe that, and it's on Thriller too. So it's a Thriller fight.
It's hard I had to respect De La Hoya and his greatness.
So you're choosing De La Hoya. Okay, I choose De La Hoya too. We already talked about the Usyk and Joshua. Both of us chose Joshua, so we won't revisit that. That's happening September 25th. And then here is the curveball.
Yeah.
Canelo Saul Alvarez versus Caleb Plank. Is this a special worthy? Should we take our time on this one? We shouldn't break this right now. Let's take our time on this one.
All right.
Because we're speeding through these.
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, our next special will be based on these two fighters.
We skipped one. Do you want to get that one or what?
Which one?
The trilogy.
The trilogy, Tyson Fury versus. We already talked about who you think is going to win, but we have to do a special on it based on because we did a special based on
the current events,
the COVID.
Yeah.
Now we need to talk about the styles.
Right.
We have to talk about that. We can't. I can't just say Fury, and you just can't say Wilder. Right. Either or.
Yeah.
We have to give reason. We need like at least 20 minutes to explain why.
It definitely deserves that.
The same thing as Saul versus. I say Saul like people know. Canelo versus Platt. Like really and truly, that fight needs a microscope, because if I'm looking at it from a casual, Canelo
is the name.
Canelo is just the bigger name.
He's the name.
He's the name. So
the name.
So it's unfair to Caleb if we don't do regardless of what your decision is. You need to break down that style.
Right.
And why it's going to be a good dance for both people, or they're going to be good dance partners for each other. But ladies and gentlemen, we just came to the end of another great episode of
Who's Fighting?
Boom.